encountered with something here at the farm that we call strangles, and it's a very common occurrence in horses. How I would compare it is it's something horses get that's very similar to what humans get, like mumps. It's like their lymph system gets inflamed and gets puffy and full of pus. The old timers used to call it distemper. It's been around forever and ever and ever, and I've got books that were written 150 years ago that talk about it. And I just want to share with you my thoughts on that to kind of help you understand it a little better. Strangles is something that horses get once in their life. I've only ever seen one horse get it twice. Most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, a horse will catch it once and won't get it again. And it's almost, you know, we've tried everything to avoid it, but it's unavoidable. It's everywhere. Everywhere you go, every horse that comes around has been exposed to it. And what we have found is the best defense against strangles is the horse's immune system. Just get that horse strong and get him hardy, keep him dewormed, keep free choice mineral to him. And I can tell you the horses that struggle the most with it, in my observation out of thousands of horses, listen carefully, the horses that struggle the most with it are the ones that have been on sweet feed, the ones that have been on pellets, the ones that have been pampered, and that aren't rugged. Now the horses that come in here that are rugged and they've had plenty of mineral supplement and they've been exposed to the other horses their whole life, they're tough, they can take it. What I've noticed is that the vaccination that they like to do does not work. Horses that have been vaccinated seem to get it worse. This year we had a lady insist upon getting a strangles vaccine. Well, the horse had a terrible reaction to it and it broke out all in its nose and around. So my advice as it pertains to strangles is get it over with. It's just like grandma taking all the grandkids that had chicken pox and have them all get it at 5 years old, and it's not as severe and then they'll never get it again. It's a harsh reality, folks. It's unavoidable. Years ago, we got very sanitary about this, and we quarantined the horses, and we sanitized, and we disinfected, and we bleached, and we put lime everywhere, and we put the horses to themselves. I've got 3 horse barns here at the farm, and I put the horses that got strangles in one barn. The next thing you know, there's a horse over in the other barn that's got it. And so one day, this little Mexican fellow working for me named Roberto, here he comes walking down the alleyway carrying his pitchfork, cleaning stalls. Well, there you go, we didn't sanitize the pitchfork between stalls. And then we didn't sanitize his feet between stalls. And then we didn't sanitize the dog which followed him to all the stalls. So, you know, this is past just like when you send the kids to Sunday school and to kindergarten. You know, you send the kids off to kindergarten in September, well, by about Thanksgiving, everybody's had a cold. Well, that's about how it works. It's an ugly thing, it's unpleasant, we don't like it, but it's unavoidable. What I can tell you is that keep your horse hardy, keep him in good shape, let it pass. You know, I've had it where it swelled up in their eye, swelled up in their ear, swelled up in their tail, swelled up in their sheath, swelled up in their feet. There's a thing called bastard strangles where their feet swell up and their legs. But these are all like little things, this little viruses and little bacterial things that they pick up that, you know, the horses that haven't been anywhere and haven't been exposed to other horses, you know, they're very susceptible. But I will tell you, the ones that suffer the most are the ones that have been pampered. And, you know, you got all these English barn women that freak out over this and think they got the plague. Well, it's not. I mean, it's just a fact of life, okay? So now, what I want to show you, this is a horse here that has strangles. He came here, he'd been somewhere on a farm that was isolated, had never been anywhere, had never been exposed to anything. First symptoms, his eyes get pussy like this, okay? His nose gets runny like this, okay? And if you look right here, right there, that's a pocket that's swollen up under his jaws, tight. Now that will erupt, and then that will drain with kind of a yellow, mucusy, pussy looking, awful, terrible stuff. Sometimes some of the horses have tougher hide and it won't erupt, so we get our pocket knife and we'll lance that so we can irrigate it. So you just gotta watch, because that thing will swell up, his head will get like a balloon if you're not careful. So you want that thing to burst on its own and drain. And you'll be amazed how quickly this horse will rebound from that. You know, he'll wheeze and have a snotty nose and act like he's gonna die for a few days, but I mean, I don't know, out of thousands of horses, I've only ever seen one or two that actually died from it, and that was because the horses weren't healthy to start with. You know, they just didn't have enough grit to get through it. What we're going to do here with this horse, he's out in the pasture with the other horses. Sorry, it's unavoidable. He's got his head down eating, so when he's got his head down and he's eating, those muscles in his jaw are moving, and that's keeping that area active. The worst thing you could do is put that horse in a stall in the barn and just let him stand there with his head down. Well, his head will get as big as a balloon if you're not careful, okay? So the best remedy, I say, is turn him out in the pasture, have his head down, have him eating off the ground, and he can eat this grass, very nutritious for him, very good. If it's bad weather, put him in as big a stall as you can so he can move around, and let that erupt and let that drain, and it'll scab over and it'll be ugly, but it'll heal up. You'll never know it was there. But sometimes, folks, it's got to get worse before it gets better. And don't give him any antibiotic. You know, the vet comes and wants to give him steroids and antibiotics and shoots him full of penicillin and everything. And what we have observed through experience is that seems to prolong it, and that seems to make it worse. It really doesn't help. This is just like when a child gets sick, mumps or chicken pox or whatever. There's nothing better than chicken soup, plenty of rest and plenty of water, and this is kind of the same thing. You know, this grass to him is the equivalent to chicken soup to a human. And let it cycle, get it behind you, and you'll never get it again, and move on. And that's what I recommend about strangles after about 35 years of experience with it. And we've traveled a lot of miles and tried a lot of different things, and for us, that's what works the best.